Chris is finally here, so I want to welcome him to the board. Hello, everyone.
You want to hear our names, so at least we know you at least have heard?
No, I went around and introduced myself to
Good, hey.
those folks I didn't already know.
Okay, item 3, single alternates. So, I'm not sure if Harlan's coming, Dave's not here. So,
Well, it's not my turn, I don't think. You're okay? I'll look to see. Good luck.
For Harlan, sorry.
And who's another alternate? Me. Oh, well, I would move to seat you for Harlan, he might come in.
I think he's out of town. You've been hearing from?
I didn't hear anything there, so. He was out of town last week, or last meeting, if I didn't know. Okay, so we need to see something for Dave too. Right,
Oh, yes,
okay.
John.
Second?
Oh, somebody.
Second.
You want to, very good.
All in favor? Opposed? All right.
Let's hope that was the hard part of the meeting.
Yeah. All right, communications to the Board of Finance, I think it's all in front of you. I don't think I have anything else, so I think that'll be the two budgets. I guess the education one just came out. Also. Any public input or comments?
You're right, it's easy. We'll have one of those orange things. I do, and I do. Christie, have this. The preliminary budget.
I'm not sure.
You forget to pass that out, I'm sorry.
That's for Thursday.
Okay, thank you.
Harlan's got one.
Oh,
Harlan's got one.
They were short a couple, actually.
Right, all right.
They were gonna get them.
so then,
I'll figure it out at the end of the meeting.
yeah, okay. All right. So next item would be presentation of the budget, but,
She's on her way.
all right, the reading is over.
I think they were operating under the impression it was a 7 o'clock start. So she's on her way.
Oh, all right. Not full reading.
That was
Talk
good.
about it
I'm
now.
gonna send out another one to see if you're ready for it. Maybe there's actually one.
Board of Finance meeting or maybe the actual regular meeting? To go back to
Last
side.
time we went back on, maybe we changed that one. Or these pages. I didn't think about it. People in the computer and
So,
it's March and April at 6:30.
Alright. So, just did a quick calculation, the Board of Ed budget impact on us is only about $500,000. So we didn't really have the shift this year, because Killingworth went up more than we did
Really?
for once, yes.
Somebody moved to town line?
We can try to get that down for you.
So I think I calculated, again, this is just the superintendent's budget, but the impact is so I put that now, it's just over $500,000 as compared to the budget from last year. So that's the
Well, one thing they've done, what Howard has proposed is funding the capital plan, which doesn't always happen because it's an easy line to eliminate when you're looking to, get the final figure down. But there are a lot of capital things that need to be done, so I think they want to try to stick with that if they can.
So that's a new one, in the budget where they normally would.
It's always there, but it doesn't often get funded.
Hi, sorry.
He's
No,
not
I
doing
don't think
it.
Harlan. He's away. I think he's away. He must have- Hi, Jen. Sorry. Good meeting. Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I didn't know.
But, yeah, we,
No, we're good.
the first part of the agenda
With me?
was pretty quick, no,
All right.
for this part.
Well, thanks to Julianne, I got here now, otherwise I would have shown up at 7. All right, so do you want me to go over differences, or what would you like me to do?
We can, an overview and anything that you think,
That you should know about?
yeah,
Okay,
highlights, and obviously we'll
okay.
dig into it over time, but.
All right, so bear with me one second, because Georgia just gave me this last piece. All right. And this will all be, because it's set now, it'll be up on the website, so we can go with it. All right. Okay. So for the most part, most of the town budgets were pretty much in line with what they've been for the past 5 or 6 years. Some of the increases, just to kind of highlight and point out, and town council, under labor council and bond council, there's increases there. For labor council, one of the reasons for that is because next year, not 2016, but 17, 18, the union contract's gonna be up for negotiation. So we felt that we needed to put a little bit more money into labor council. It's gonna be a little bit of overlapping, so that we're not looking to take that all into consideration all at once. And we're gonna be looking to do bonding, so to put money in for bond council was something else that we talked about putting in the budget. Health insurance, there was about a 20% increase on health insurance. There is another plan that is available. However, looking at that and knowing changes that are gonna be coming through, the savings isn't going to be able to justify the cost that it would be to have an attorney come in, because with the union, we have to offer them something the same, if not better. So for 17, 18, we'll be looking at options there for some savings. Town pension, actuarially for fire in town, the amounts are where they are. We broke out liability insurance. So under the property and casualty claims, so let's use the firehouse as an example. There was a claim that was put in at the firehouse. We have a $5,000 deductible, and that's covered. But under liability, there's an issue going on, or there can be an issue going on with liability that the town might be liable for. So we increased the liability insurance for that, and part of that was workers' comp.
No, workers' comp is separate, but the reason being that we can track better the liability coverage.
To break it out.
To break it out, where it was lumped together with all other insurances.
So
And
we know.
the other insurances, of course, are like for bonds for staff, various small items,
Right.
so
So I was more just,
Yeah.
we're just placing it in the proper, so we have better accounting for
right,
it.
okay.
And I'll cheat and look at all my notes. The biggest thing I think that you're gonna find in working at this budget this year is gonna be for the Ambulance Association. They came to us early in December. They have about $425,000 in their fund. Approximately 200 of it is put aside to purchase a new ambulance, and that leaves them with about $200,000 left over. They want to keep $100,000 aside for contingency and put another 100 into the budget. So some of the things that we discovered was that the Ambulance Association signed a contract with EMR, right, not ERM, EMR. And that is supposed to provide coverage from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, because they're having a shortage of volunteers, which is, volunteers isn't just unique to Haddam. However, that emergency service, there's a couple things that you need to know. When, I'm gonna pick on the town of Durham, for example. If a call comes into the town of Durham between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, they do not necessarily have volunteers on call, so we do as Haddam. So they'll tone out Durham 3 times through Valley Shore. And if they don't respond, and those 3 times is within a matter of like seconds, because obviously it's an emergency, they need to get out. Because we're paying for services, our crew goes to Durham and takes care of that emergency call. We are allowed to bill depending upon whether it's private pay, Medicare, or Medicaid. However, the cost of the call versus what we're collecting for the insurance or however it's paid is not even coming close to the cost of what it's covering for that call. So they're running into a deficit. So because of this mutual aid that we give other towns, yes, Haddam is choosing to have that coverage from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. However, we're not getting reimbursed the true cost of what that call costs. In addition to that, you're going to see another line added in under Middlesex Hospital. With all the taxes being charged now to the hospitals, they're looking for ways to help increase their revenue flow. And paramedic service is something that they've offered to the town of Haddam or given to the town of Haddam for the past 30 years and have never charged for it. So they want to start initially this year charging $1 per capita, increasing it over the next 5 years by $1 each year to help subsidize some of the costs that are there. So the Ambulance Association actually asked for, I think it was $172,000 approximately to go into their fund from the town. And I'll look at the exact number. And we were really stuck as the Board of Selectmen. We knew that we need to do something. The Board of Finance had put aside $30,000 for a study, which Barb and I are in the process of getting bids for to do. We put $125,000 in that line. I'm not really sure. I can tell you it's not enough to cover the cost, but I think it's a good amount to get them started to where we need to be. I'm meeting with them, we're having discussions whether they should really be buying an ambulance right now. Maybe the town should be purchasing an ambulance. When I met with Middlesex Hospital paramedic group, what they were saying is that, you know, there could be 4 or 5 other towns right now going out purchasing an ambulance, and if we do something to regionalize, to try to do something, if that's what's recommended for us to do, to save expenses, I don't really know if it makes sense for us to be purchasing an ambulance right now. However, they've been waiting the past 2 or 3 years to purchase an ambulance. So it's a big thing, and we need to look at it. So that's where you're going to see some fluctuations in ambulance. It's just something I want on your radar so that you know about it. I'm trying to dig deep and get as much information as I can so that when that point in time comes, I mean, they have come in, they've talked to the Board of Selectmen, they've had meetings with Barbara and I. They're going to come in and they're going to talk to the Board of Finance, but I just want you to be aware of what's going The other increase is probably gonna be in the road fund. So traditionally in the road fund, $500,000 has been put aside in the road fund. I am very concerned about the roads in town. There's really been no, from what I've been told from Jeff Jacobson and Phil Goff, that there really was no priority list for the roads in town. Looking at what some of the estimates are for the roads, just to fix the McTighe Road area, the projected cost just for that is about $5 million. Roads are not cheap. So we wanted to send a message that roads are important, so what we did is we asked to increase the road budget from $500,000 to $750,000. I don't think that's the best way to necessarily pay for the improvements for the roads. However, bonding is something we need to look at, but I think it's something to get the conversation started so that we know how the public feels as far as how we should take care of the roads and what we should do. Because we're past the point of band-aiding. That's just one set of a roadway that needs to be improved. So, you know, the Picorni Road area, McTighe, Jackson Road area, we can break them all out into phases, and I'd like to start to do that initially to get something done. But I think it's gonna be much more economical. I've had some numbers run preliminary through bonding to be able to pay for that debt service than it is necessarily to take that money and pay for the roads. We've discussed changing that amount back at the last Board of Selectmen meeting to $500,000. But again, I think we all felt strongly that we're trying to send a message that we feel roads need improvement. So the financing of those roads, I think, need to be open for discussion, but that really was to let the Board of Finance know that we were serious about increasing it. And it's gonna show that the Board of Selectmen budget is high, and I'm well aware of that. But again, how we decide to finance that or what we need to do, I'm looking for the board to help make recommendations on that. I don't know if there's anything else. Dispatch services, KX is no longer around. Everything's gone into Valley Shore. We have those numbers. Those numbers came down a little bit. I did meet with them again on Friday, and we are assessed by the number of calls we make that get called in. So going back to that issue with the ambulance, they weren't quite sure. So for example, I'll use Durham again. If I'm a Durham resident, Durham's gonna get assessed for my 911 call, but I'm not sure, and they weren't sure to tell me an answer if also Haddam was being assessed for the 911 call. And because we're covering, it's really not fair that we're both charged for that call. So they were gonna look into that. There's a formula that they use, and they were gonna get back to me and let me know about that. Social services with youth and family and with Haddam Public Health, we're aware that there is some overlapping in services. I think some of those things need to be looked at. I did just hire a new municipal agent who has a background as an elder attorney, looking at some of the things that need to be taken care of for our senior population. Youth and families doing more in that area. Public health is also doing that. So I think that kind of looking at things big picture and making sure that all populations are served needs to be looked at. But I also want the board to know that we're also looking at that to try to see where we can consolidate. You know, youth and family is doing a lot on alcohol and drug counseling, and I can tell you it's tying in because the state troopers have had to use Narcan now twice in the past 2 months, and not this past weekend, but the weekend before, there were 2 overdoses in town, and because of Narcan and the troopers getting there, they were able to save those individuals' lives. So I think there's a lot of education that needs to be done there. The federal government does recognize that, and there might be some funds coming from that, but just kind of keep that in mind as an FYI when you're looking at that budget. I think that is it.
Can I just make one thing, the dispatch, I think you have the sheets that it's
Oh, it got lowered.
168,637, and we finally got, just recently, an end number of 113,952, so that's what it should be, 113,952.
I knocked it down to 116. It is under 230.
The new pages that I just gave you, Cheryl.
Oh, the
new sheet reflects that number?
No.
No, it's on there,
We-
okay.
After she printed them, we got this in just
So that was what, 113 what?
113,952.
Yeah, we had knocked it down to 116, but we got a better number on Friday.
Can I ask a question? You still have a line item in here for Chatham?
Yeah.
And so won't that go away as of June 30th?
It will, but the fee for another health district will go in,
Oh, okay, I
So-
know there were,
yeah,
okay. That, you're replacing one health district with another?
yes.
Oh, okay, I wasn't aware of that.
I haven't formally done anything, Joanne, or signed any paperwork, but I'm pretty sure that's the route we're going.
So this represents their fee?
Tell me where you are.
Well, I'm on 112 and it says, I think, 78,591. I'm sorry, that's not correct.
I know that we still owe them money for this year, but for next year.
Oh, yeah, no, I was looking ahead though.
Okay,
Um,
hold on.
I'm sorry, it's 80,000, 8165.
Yeah, that'll be the number for, the replacement. That's the number I'm looking at to replace Chatham Health for a new health district.
Brand new.
And what are they called? Does that
If I
mean-
go with who I think I'm gonna go with, it's Old Saybrook, it's CHRAD, Crad, I guess. And we're charged the same way based on population. What I like about them is that they have 2 MDs that sit on their board, and they have a lot more programs to offer than Chatham Health did.
And it's multi-town?
It is, yes, Old Saybrook. It is Essex?
No,
No,
it's Deep River.
Deep River, sorry, I always do
Deep
that.
River, Old Saybrook, Clinton.
And Clinton, that's it. Yep. And we will get a full-time person in Hammond, which we don't have right now.
Thank you.
But I'm finalizing that. Finalizing meetings are happening in the next couple of weeks. And their financials look great, by the way. It's all good. It's all positive.
So the health insurance is still under the
Cigna.
school?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So,
Do we know,
there
is the school going up?
yeah, the school's
20% as
going
well?
up the same. And, based on our population, I'm trying to remember if it's called contributory or, I'm not coming up with the right word right now. We're better off for the experience to be with the school versus being on our own because of our aging population. So Brown and Brown came in and talked with us. Again, they're trying to push another plan on us, but
Well,
there's way
the
too many
state treasurer's,
variables.
Medical plan. But if we look at it, it's a little richer plan for the individuals, but by the time you add in their costs, they're gonna charge a broker fee. You know,
Do you know the state plan?
Yeah, and you can't do both, you
Oh.
can't.
you pay the state plan, they administer it, so that's where their fee comes in.
Yeah,
Because there's no fee associated with the state plan.
yeah.
I gotta look that up, because we have an insurance guy, he said that was gonna happen,
Mhm.
and they really shouldn't be in the middle of that.
Okay.
No, you're double dipping. Yeah,
Right, the state did all the work, I don't know why a broker would get in the middle of that, but
because they're lower, yeah.
he told me that they would all try to do that, because we
Right.
lose business.
They're gonna lose the commission that they were gonna make on it,
Right.
so they're trying to make it up the other way.
All right, but we're not going that way anyway.
No, we're not, and then again, I mean, next year, when the time comes for negotiation, we'll look at it, we'll see what's available, because there's gonna be a lot of changes in taxing and plans and everything else, so.
And then, but this year on the union contract, the employee percentage is increased?
I think so.
I want to bring my book, I don't have it with me.
Yeah, I don't know what the number
Contract,
is,
I'll
it's a
have to
certain
look at it.
percentage depending upon.
Yeah,
I think
thought
it
we
was
were-
gonna go up 1%
Every
every year,
year,
like
yeah.
17, 18, 19.
Georgia
or
has
18.
The
those,
copay?
yeah,
Yeah,
Okay,
I don't remember what the numbers are, I don't
yeah,
know.
I just didn't remember what, my last year's book, when we did the union contract, what those increases were going to be, which are still
but the
significantly
increase
low.
against the increase in what the insurance cost is.
No,
It's
well,
not-
no,
yeah, it's
it's
not,
very,
yes.
Unfortunately,
What the-
it's,
which is,
Liz, these salary increases,
Yep.
like assessor and tax collector, is that part of the
2.5.
collective bargaining agreement?
No, so what has been done is the collective bargaining agreement has 2.9%, and then for those people that are salary, it works out to be a 2.5%, but no, they are not.
Mhm. So this relatively discretionary
Yep,
to give
It
them.
is, yes. It's the same amount, it's just how it's just kept, the percentages are different because of how they're paid.
no projection for revenues.
We're working on that.
we don't have a lot of information, although
Yeah.
Joe said he had some information that he was gonna forward to me.
Yeah, I talked about that. I know I had some pieces at least, but obviously it's very preliminary. But I did get some stuff from the state. The governor proposed municipal aid, so we're flat, so $2,000 better today. Of course, we had a couple months, but right now we're even. There is that motor vehicle grant, so it's 244,000, but that's not real because that's replacing the flat mill rate on motor vehicles. So that's our share of the sales tax that's
What's
going
the
up.
flat rate?
28.
28?
No, it's 28 or 31, I'm not sure which year, but
Our rate or that rate?
No,
the
the
max
motor
rate.
vehicle, what's
28.
28, okay.
So that's gonna be the max, even if our mill rate on everything else is higher, the state is basing the revenue loss on last year's grand list, 2015, not even this one, so it's 2 years old.
The other thing is that there's talk right now that you should know that next year, if our budgets are 2.5% higher, then we're gonna be penalized by the state on the money that we get,
The general government or the whole,
everything,
including the school budget?
including the school budget.
Yeah, schools aren't backed out, debt services, emergency stuff is, that thing. But your
Yeah,
exposure is only that grant. It only relates to that 244, that's the max exposure. So that's all we would ever forfeit, is whatever that motor vehicle replacement, which is funded through sales tax
And
amount is.
the other thing is when they calculated this and it went through, Adams mill rate was below 30%, the threshold, and now we're with other towns, there's more than a handful that are over that rate, so again, going back to 2 years ago, how they're gonna calculate that and what they're gonna do, they don't know. They're really not sure.
And it's complicated, and I don't know the resolution, that's where my client said they don't know if that applies to motor vehicle supplements, so it gets billed in January. So right now, we don't know if that's another impact, what mill rate we can bill supplement at. It would make sense it would be all the same, but I don't think it was addressed specifically in the statute, and I read the statute yesterday. It just says motor vehicle. So that's another thing the state's gonna figure out, and hopefully we'll get more clarity on in the next couple of months.
Were there any big requests from any of the departments that the board of selectmen actually cut significantly?
I don't think so. No. Department budgets were pretty good.
wasn't sure if fire represented a lower,
They did. A
Is
little
that-
bit lower.
looked like.
Some things were taken, some
And-
lines were taken out.
Yeah, and the two departments were broken up into two different
Land use,
sections.
yeah. And building. We're put into one.
And land use is all one.
Yeah. I don't think so. No, right? They were supposed to be one.
No, they're still two.
That would have to put in one.
No, there are two.
On this budget document, there are two.
And the finance department is broken out too, right?
Correct.
Yep,
I
thought we were putting it to one.
We're gonna try to, I had actually developed a account structure.
Yeah,
But I was never gotten back to, then this process started. So I said, rather than do it this year, we can work on it for next year and get it in place.
yeah, 'cause I was
I started it, but I didn't, just kind of dropped.
pretty sure, yeah, that it was gonna be.
Is Kristen switching printing companies or something for the taxes? The tax rate books, or what is that?
Okay, what we did was, we got a bill from their service, and I believe the printing was always included in postage.
Okay.
So we broke it out, put it where it belongs, we did that to the assessor and for the tax collector, but we reduced essential services.
Okay, so this increase of almost $5,000,
Mhm.
Though there's
it
a
should be reflective in
a reduction in
essential
essential
postage.
services, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
There were a few things we did that too, we tweaked.
that just jumped out at me. as I was
Yeah.
looking.
No,
Liz, do you know what your total is as presented?
yeah.
Can you share?
Yes, you know what? Do you have it?
I don't,
Barb has it, yeah, I ran. Let's see. $8,110,288.
And that doesn't include capital plan, or it does?
Does not include capital plan. Capital, I wanted to present that to you tonight, but they couldn't meet until Thursday. So I need to meet with the Board of Selectmen. I would say capital right now
Let's,
is a little shy. I think it's about 460, but that's 8,110,288.
That's a percentage increase?
It is a,
that's approximate because I found a couple of.
Okay.
yeah,
That's
and
fine.
again, I think it was 8.9, Barb?
I'm sorry, the capital of.
No, the total without the school budget.
Oh, I'm
I ran
sorry.
it
So
both
this
ways.
is with the school.
No,
no,
No, no.
I didn't think so.
no,
General.
general government.
Town government, not general, but town government. I had the capital at $494,550
that was 462.
It's in that ballpark. You could
Yeah,
call it
it's
500,000
yeah.
for the sake
I would
of,
say 500.
you know,
Yeah.
arithmetic.
Right.
I did
I mean-
find some, in fact, I started.
Forgetting, I'm sorry, Joanne, that you were there Thursday night. I feel like I've been in one continuous meeting. I need to sit with the Board of Selectmen, which I just need to find a date for us to get together. That does not include capital, so if I don't have that for you for next Monday, I'll have it for you for the following Monday. I was looking for the percentage. I had a sheet. Georgia plugged the numbers in for me.
I should need to.
Really close to 2%.
So with the school budget, it was 8.9.
Oh,
Yeah.
the 2% was without,
Yeah, and a big part of that again is we took, and, you know, I really feel the best way to do it is to bond for debt service, but the $250 that we put into the roads, you know, the other thing is looking at the expenditures for the year. You know, granted, we're in March and it could be a lion or a lamb, as we all know, but we're in pretty good shape with some of the expenses to do on public works.
But so actually you'd have debt service added to this too.
No, what would happen is the $250 that we put in the road fund would replace, I mean, we
750.
knock it down. Yeah,
Oh, you'd make that 750, 250?
Nope, like 500 or even less. Like, it doesn't make sense. The point that I was trying to make is this. For one road, it's projected that we need to do $5 million worth of work, right? So if we take an extra $250,000 and we put it in the road fund, yes, we could finish one small piece, but it's one small piece. We can't keep Band-Aiding. So if we go to bond and we take out $2 or $3 million, that debt service of, let's just call it, if it's $250,000, would get us a lot farther instead of putting that amount of money in every year. That was the point.
That's the norm now, unfortunately. It wasn't 10 years ago. Every single client I have bonds for roads as much as conceptually I don't like it, but reality is we need to get stuff done.
I guess the thought was too, once upon a time, the capital plan reflected a road line so that it was a way to just keep saving and keep
Correct.
putting aside. But
Correct.
that'll never get you
No,
5
I mean,
million.
look at Park Road for an example, right? Park Road has everything done, the easements are done, what we need to do. Park Road, the estimate to take care of Park Road right now is $850,000. You know, that's one road with 12 houses on it. And are there things that we can do with Park Road right now to help with some of the drainage issues? Yes, but I don't have an extra $850,000 sitting around to pave Park Road right now. And again, I'm just using that as an example. So there's a lot of roads, and now that there's been some prioritizing, I think we're gonna start to have some public hearings and some input, so the residents can see exactly what's involved, what the costs are associated, and then they can make a decision as to what they wanna do.
But there is a pool of money in the road fund, isn't there?
There is,
Yeah.
yep,
Do you know what that might be? Is it over $1 million?
no.
No?
There's money that's
No,
put
used
aside,
sometimes for maintenance, repair and maintenance as well.
Oh, okay.
So it's not always, let's put 500 here and it stays there, and then another 500, now we have $1 million.
that isn't how it goes.
That's not unfortunately the way it
Yeah.
goes, but,
In capital non-recurring, I know there's about, I think there's 366 aside for a tie.
and I think, another 300, actually, Joe, I sent you, you can access your email. Remember that capital I sent you?
I think I have it here. Yeah, that's in the
Hold on.
road fund.
Yeah, that's in the road fund.
Yeah, I might have it here.
There was 3 pieces, one for the bridge, two different roads.
Yeah, the bridge.
This-
We're good on the bridge. Dish Mill has the money, it's ready to go. It went out for RFP. The money's there, that's all set. Dish Mill and a tie. No, there's nothing there for that.
Bartman?
Nope.
Can't find it, darn it.
No, wait a minute.
I had a folder
I
for
have
you,
it
it's in my
here.
folder.
Yeah, and just, I met with Kathy Eno today, we talked about the school budget, a meeting with Howard Wednesday morning, and then there's a joint BOS Board of Education meeting on Thursday morning.
I just lost it. Just had it. Street lighting went down. Did I see lighting in general on line items went up?
We broke it out, remember? So lighting was grouped all together, and we actually broke out street lighting, so we knew how much we were paying for that.
But that was with a line item that was funded. That was 70 something, 78 or something. I mean, I just lost, I'm sorry. I just
That's all right.
had it.
It's all grouped in here, too.
That was one of the, we were really
Um,
trying to do
Public
is,
Works?
yeah, to monitor, so for example, Cheryl, if a building had an issue where there was a huge spike in electricity, we would be able to pick it out easier to know what was happening.
Yeah, the only money reserved are 5, 367, additional 333.
Which is for the bridge.
two that are spiked
That's
out.
it. But there was another, wasn't there another amount for something smaller? No?
It's not set up, but I thought we set up that 700 specifically. So those are the two, the tie is 367, just
Right.
that's all that's there, that's just roads,
And to do-
general.
We broke McTie out into phase one and phase two. To do phase one, McTie is about 550,000, and then I'm getting numbers on the second phase, which I'm gonna guess is gonna come in around 700.
So as in 3-1, the road fund looks like it has 630,000. That's not for those two properties.
I mean, we,
Right.
yeah.
631,000 as of week ago.
Here we go, cover books, public buildings. 61. Snow removal is about 78, and it's proposed at 45. But the rest of that, you want to move somewhere to
Yes.
another line item?
Yes. We dropped street lighting down and we added it. Barb, right?
See, that's,
Electric?
that's, yeah, I don't know what the occurred, we're gonna have to look into that for you, because if you'll notice, electric and street lighting in 14-15 is the same number, and
Yeah.
15-16 is the same, so something isn't quite right there.
Yeah.
But, and I think that's why maybe,
It's supposed to,
61.
yeah, that 80 should have got dropped.
okay, we'll look at that.
Well, that, but then the electric is 80, but then even the street lighting. You went from an adopted budget in 15-16 of 78. You dropped to 40, 45.
Yeah,
Is there, the difference between that, is that moved to a different line item, or is that an actual savings cost of something?
I'm not sure.
It's
but
not a
those numbers
save-
are the
it's not a
same. We have to
savings
look at
cost.
that, because that
Okay.
doesn't seem right.
Because I'm looking at, it almost looks like a duplicate entry essentially.
Right.
Those numbers are all matching.
yeah, I can tell you it's not a savings if we just separated it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And when we were preparing the budget, we found that all of the street lighting was going into the utility, the electric line.
Okay,
So we had to do an adjustment and bring it to where it belongs, in the street lighting line. So
okay, so,
that may have thrown something off.
all right,
But
so
I'll
just
check it.
verify those, all those numbers? Okay, thank you.
Can I ask one more about the Labor Council that you were talking about? You wanted to increase because the contracts will be coming.
Yeah, so for 17-18, the contract has to get negotiated, so starting in like a year from now, you'd start working on that.
So why would you need it in the next fiscal year?
Because you have to pay for that part of it before it actually happens, because it's gonna be split.
Oh, he's starting you'd want him to start his work in 16-17?
Yes,
Okay, correct.
more towards the end of 17, yeah.
Okay. I thought it didn't start till the expiration of the contract.
No, it has to be done before then,
Okay.
so that's why we put it there, so we wouldn't run in the red.
And engineering services are just for town road purposes.
Mhm. The COG is up. You guys might notice that it's not a lot percentage-wise. So when Mid-State Regional merged all into one, the towns that were part of Mid-State were given a rebate for 3 years, and actually the money carried over into into the fourth year. So our number for the COG went from 73.52 to 98.54. So, just so you know, there's a differential. It's not a lot of dollars, but it's a percentage increase. And that is in line 070 for planning and zoning.
Can you go over all the insurance stuff again that you
Sure.
broke out, just. Just trying to see where you've broken it up differently. So the fire department incentive,
The last year's 15-16, all other insurance, which was grouped together, was 83,000.
okay,
So we took out the 72,000, which we estimate for liability, went up, of course, and then what was left was the 15,150. And the reason being, we are under contract, we have 3-year rate block of 3.2. Off the top of my head, say 3.6 or 4.2, I'm not sure, but, with Kerma, so it was, a 3-year block in depending upon, it would only go up that much, it wouldn't go up anymore, even though the history may have proved that it should have been more.
And we're still under that or
We were
not?
No,
still
we
under
are
that.
still
still
under
under,
that.
okay.
Yeah.
You had said the Cigna line is up because of our claims?
Well, no, just the increase in premium, mostly.
They actuarially take a look at that because we're self-insured, so that's the estimate we got. Now, when it comes down to
What the
the
actual
actual
claims
things,
are.
it may be less than that.
Right,
But that's what they're estimating, we can only go by
we'd
what
rather
the
go
actuary is
higher
telling
than,
us.
we were very, we went on the high side and on the low side. I mean, even looking at, even with gas costs coming down and heating and fueling, we didn't really drop it a lot because we don't know. And, again, sand and snow removal, salt and ice. Barb had run some averages over the past 5 years of where we are. And even though we've been okay, we left it because we weren't sure.
This is with regard to the ambulance service. What's their long-term sustainability? And I know you've talked about this before,
Yeah, I just don't think it's very good.
but I mean, if they didn't exist,
Yep,
what would happen
you call
In serving the
hunters,
town.
you call,
and you pay the bill?
yep. So it comes a question of where are they gonna be dispatched out of, right? So if something happens here, the ambulance, they're here. Now granted, we have a lot, and Haddam Neck is covered by East Hampton, so not including, I'm not addressing Haddam Neck because they're under East Hampton. What I have found in my discussions is that even at looking at CCM, and we've looked at different estimates for fire and ambulance, I don't think, either some towns just say this is it, this is all we're gonna do. Some towns I don't think really, to be honest with you, a majority of them don't realize that they have a huge problem and they're not addressing it. I think they're becoming more and more aware of it. I think that we really have to recognize it and look at it and make some decisions. I there has to be some control. I mean, if $150,000 was put in the budget last year to cover the ambulance coverage from 6 AM to 6 PM. Now granted, if they go out on a call at 5, it might involve overtime. But for whatever reason, that dollar amount that was expended by the ambulance, now they run on a fiscal year basis, not on July 1 to June 30th as we do. They had expended $363,000, where they should have only expended $150,000. So that is either lack of volunteers, but they're determining when that happens. They're the ones that sign the contract, not the town. So I mean, I have a copy of the old contract, I've asked for a copy of the new contract, and I'm trying to find an agreeable time to meet with them. Again, I think they need to come in, and there needs to be a message as to what we want to spend or what we want to do. But I think that the Board of Finance should have a say, and I think the people in the town should have a say. I mean, if we want to pay for it, then we need to know what that amount's going to be, because we are paying for it. It's not a volunteer basis, and I feel really bad because you have these volunteers that are putting a lot of time in, and, you know, it's not saving us necessarily a lot of money. Now, whether, if we have volunteers or not, it's, you know, it's gonna cost us more, I don't know. But right now, after next year, there'll be no money. They will have no money to give into any cost sharing.
But it's almost as if you take the town out of it completely, and if you call 911,
Right,
whoever comes to answer your call, that's
Right.
between you
and
and
then,
them.
right.
They bill you for their service, and
So there's
that's,
things to look at.
except for response time.
So private pay, let's call it, private pay is about 60%, right, of what they're gonna get. And because of the type of ambulance service they are, they can't do any transporting, they can only handle emergency calls. Medicare has now gotten changed, Medicaid formula just got changed. And, you know, they were saying to me, well, they do a certain percentage of calls to the Saybrook and Haddam. And a lot of those patients are private pay, they're not Medicaid. So, you know, we're trying to look at how many calls are from out of town? What does that really cost us? What are we being reimbursed? You know, how does it all work into the formula? And there's a lot of information there.
Yeah, I think I was even suggesting if the volunteer service ceased to exist,
Right.
what would happen when the Saybrook needed ambulance service? They would just have to call
911, yeah,
911.
and
Private
private service.
service will go down and pick them up.
And
The
that would
problem
be between
is-
them and the service.
Correct.
Right.
And then what they do now is and then it ties into the paramedic service. So let's say they call 911, right? Depending upon the kind of call, the ambulance guys will take the direction from the paramedic, and sometimes the paramedic will come, and then sometimes the paramedic won't come.
Sometimes they cannot transport
And
without a
They
paramedic.
can't, exactly.
So
so
they have to wait for
That's why,
themselves.
as far as the hospital goes, they're coming in with this per capita. We're gonna charge you $1 per capita right now.
Do we know what the number of calls are for mutual?
Yeah, it's over 20%.
Over 20%.
Yeah, there was six.
And our MOUs for mutual is just, it gets toned out, and whichever town can respond will
Yeah,
respond.
so that's what I was
So
told.
we all wait for Adam
Pretty much.
to
Well,
respond?
well, let's face it this way. You're Chester. You know.
Well, I'm just trying
I
to
mean-
look at it from another perspective. If the MOU do we need to go back to look at the MOU for mutual aid assist from other towns? Do we bill back to the other towns? If
We
they
do.
need- What do we bill back at?
Whatever it is, Medicare or private
The
pay.
ambulance bills back.
Yeah,
Okay.
right.
There's
But
no
if it
additional
costs-
fee, just the fee for the.
I guess I'm confused
Like,
how they
it's
do
never
their,
enough,
how
so-
they do their billing, and I don't think the ambulance has ever really been 100% clear
No, they-
between what their
Or have a bill.
monies are that come in versus.
Right, so let's just say it this way. It costs about approximately $1,000 for them to go on a call, okay? So private pay, they might get $650 is the number I was given. So every time they go out, they're in a deficit.
I don't know if, I got this somewhere along the way.
Profit and
Remember
loss.
this?
Yeah,
Their profit and loss versus actual. And, you know, the ERM fee is what it is, and then they've got their whole list of where their money comes in from
Yeah.
and where it goes out to. But it's amazing that it's $1,000 to answer a call.
And they're not getting paid, I mean, that's the other thing, they're getting paid minimal, they're getting paid $15 or $18 an hour, they're not getting paid a lot of money. So, it's definitely a problem.
Well, it's as we've said, you know, that they have 3 ways to bring in money. They can fundraise, and they get a town contribution, and they can bill. And it's
That's it.
still not enough.
And
It's
I've
not.
called a number of towns, and I've worked in a number of towns, and it is not, it's a losing proposition across the board.
Well, that's the thing,
No,
that's why.
it just is.
And the reason the other ambulance companies can be profitable is because they can transport for non-911, and that's where they make their money.
Yeah.
And because our volunteers can't do that, they're never gonna be in the black, they're always gonna be in the
And
red.
that's why I asked about long-term,
Right.
because, again, I'm not trying to abolish this thing. I'm just
Right.
asking if it has sustainability, and you just eliminate it, for lack of a better word. Now the patient or the 911 caller gets whatever he needs.
Right.
And pays for it,
Right, but
however he pays for it.
I think looking to reaching out to other ambulance associations, I mean, you know, you look at it and you say, okay, the town's paying, I'm just playing devil's advocate, but, you know, the town's paying X to help, you know, fund the volunteer ambulance. So that means an ambulance could be at somebody's house in 5 minutes versus 30 minutes, and that 5 minutes means somebody lives or dies. How do you put a price tag on
I
that?
understand. I know, that's the argument that you can't, that there's no comeback for.
Right, and with the fire department, yes, it's volunteer, but they're not going out, thank goodness, on calls all the time. I mean, my phone goes off every time that ambulance goes out. So, you know,
It's not a, it's a flawed system, I
Right.
guess, and I don't know how to get around the flaws.
no, and again, we're not unique in that, but I think trying to find out, I think we are ahead of the game in looking for a solution to that. But what, you know, what do the residents in town want and what are they willing to pay for
Exactly.
is really what it boils down to. And I think that having,
And are the fire department and the ambulance having any discussion?
Liz has had discussion with the fire department and the ambulance department.
I know, and they both always all want to be their own entity.
Right.
But
But I have had discussions with both.
when you start to see the towns that do merge together, it does become better.
Does it solve a lot of problems?
I don't
Budget-wise?
know of enough towns, but I think it does alleviate some of that. Because in a lot of towns, and in Haddam, the fire department is actually the first responder.
But I mean, if you put them together, what
And
costs
so-
go away?
Because the
manpower.
fire department people are already going out as a first responder. And if in fact they have the training,
Okay, so we're saying almost the same thing, you're almost eliminating the volunteer
I think
service.
Well,
you-
or
Or
married.
We're marrying
marrying
them
the two,
together.
That's right.
and it's. I
Now,
mean,
whether they
any
wanna
of
be
those
married
towns-
or not.
They don't wanna be married, you
But the
can,
wild
and they will
card-
tell you all kinds, and it's
But
a sore subject
But
between
the
them.
wild card is that there's a professional ambulance service that supplements the volunteers. There's not a
Correct.
professional fire that
No, there
supplements
isn't.
the
Correct.
fire department. So they're
Correct.
not
It's not apples
exactly
for
parallel.
apples.
No.
Yeah, but I think that's where this study will come in helpful, but even to the point of us looking for companies for the study, 2 of the companies that are on the list no longer do the study anymore, because when they come to the town for a resolution, the town's never listened to them anyways, so they're not doing it any longer, which is
Costs too
kind of
much,
funny.
yeah.
I think people put too much emotion into it.
Well, I'm
And
sure
that's
that's partially
yeah.
true.
Yeah.
The business model doesn't work.
No.
That's
Correct.
clear, so that's what needs to
Yeah.
be solved, and
Yeah.
how everybody fits into it
Yeah,
is secondary.
You gotta
but
take the
business model
emotion
doesn't
out.
work.
No, that's true. And
And-
sentimentality. is-
right, and that's why I've had conversations with the fire, and I've had conversations with ambulance. Just gotta plant the seed.
Yes.
I don't know how it's all, I don't have a crystal ball to know how it's all gonna come out, just that it's an issue and we need to address it. And we can't bury it, we really gotta go now, which is why I'm grateful that that money's there, so we can get moving on it.
so.
Thank you. So what happened in the Haddam Neck Fire Department? This is 201. In the capital expenses, they requested 44,000. The Board of Selectmen put it back to.
Because it belonged in capital, it didn't belong in the operating budget.
Okay.
Well, that's the name they've been giving you. It always has been confusing, but that's the name they call those, those items on their chart. It's not like the capital plan,
We have, yeah.
but they use that term too. And I think we all wished that maybe they would change that to eliminate
Yes.
the confusion. Because
Yes.
these are not capital plan type items. They're
Yeah.
operating things, items,
Yeah.
but they've always
But it's easier to
called
get the
them.
money put in if it says
Well, maybe
capital.
it's gonna come out of one pot.
It is in
If
the
Harlan were
capital.
here, Jen.
We just took it out of here, we
You
put
took
it in
So,
capital.
Right.
okay.
Mhm.
So part of it belonged in capital.
Yeah, it's a radio upgrade for $24,000.
But that's a 1 year only
Yeah.
type of thing, right?
Yep. State police went up.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's not anything.
State police are pretty significant,
Yeah, the funny thing with that formula is that it's charged all the way across the board, so it isn't just their rate, it's their benefits on top of it and their overtime. So it's 85% for the first 2 troopers, and then if we had a 3rd trooper, it'd be 70%. So if that's the formula.
Well, I think it was 75% last year, and that's 85 this year, correct?
It's 85. Yeah, I don't know what it was
Yeah.
last year. It's 85.
That would make sense, because it's $67,000 increase, but something else happened.
Yeah, no, I know it's
The state
85.
that
Yeah, the state
changed
changed, yeah.
the
I don't know
additional
how
10%.
long ago they changed the formula, I just know it's 85 for the first 2, and then 70 for the next one.
The 321 represents 2 people or
2.
2.5 people?
2. One works Monday through Friday, 7 AM to 3, and the other one is 5 on, 3 off, and it alternates.
If we join CRAD,
Yep,
is it a year-to-year contract?
yes. It's the same thing as what we just did.
Combined fee.
No. Like I said,
Just the per capita?
per capita, and their finances look phenomenal.
How many full-time sanitarians do we have?
I think 3? I have to look, Cheryl. I haven't looked, it's been about a week since I looked at those numbers.
Is there a board of directors like Chatham?
Yeah, they have to have it.
Yes,
State regs
but there's 2
require that
doctors
each-
that sit on their board, which I think is great.
Your representation is based on your population generally. I don't know what those numbers are, but those are all, state comes up with that.
That's good.
I mean, things at Chatham have been better, I will say that, although we got a box, I don't know, this big of papers. There's 5 more over there in East Hampton that need to come over to get put into the land files from the past however many years. So, they're working on getting those in the files and doing what they need to do. We definitely have more coverage than we had before, and communication's been a lot better. But, it just, talking to the two agencies and looking at their numbers and, again, the programs that they have to offer, it's like night and day. And I hope Chatham figures it out, I really do.
They're gonna stay in business, obviously.
Yeah. I also think even, when Liz Glidden and I met with Don Mitchell, he even said, he's like, you're on this side of the river and everybody else is on the other side of the river. So they even said that it wasn't, an issue. So, I think with Old Saybrook, it's right, it's quick, it's on Route 9. They're willing to put a full-time person in for us, which is something we don't have. So, for the same amount of money, having better services, I think it's a no-brainer. We did have an opportunity, there were people who were available, we could build our own health department and do that, but you have to worry about the turnover and benefits and things like that versus, they're already, it's kind of like the state police. If they crash their car, somebody gets sick, they can put somebody else in there to show up. So, I just think for us right now, to do that is a good thing, and if we want out, we want to make a change, we just do what we just did. I'm not planning on doing that, I wouldn't jump in unless I thought it was a good resolution.
Who's the director of Jim Monopoly?
Jim Monopoly. Seems he's been there 3 years. So the people that are there now were not the same people that were there when Haddam looked at them previously.
No, they've had a lot, well, even the sanitarian, don't they, the same, they've had a lot of change over.
So.
You're meeting with Howard Wednesday?
Meeting with Howard Wednesday.
Has this been presented to the board yet?
No.
No.
It's good.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow night, okay, oh, that's right, tomorrow night for that presentation, okay.
Were you talking about Howard's presentation?
Yeah.
Because he did that last
Oh, was it
Tuesday.
last Tuesday?
Yeah, and then
Okay. So
tomorrow
you-
is supposedly
Work.
the first
Okay.
workshop.
Okay.
Gillmore's numbers are really dropped off. Ours haven't.
Meaning student population.
Although enrollment's down all the way, so.
What number is Haddam Public Health? I'm sorry.
Haddam Public Health.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Anything else you look at?
Just a lot, there's a lot of things that need to be changed, but it's not gonna happen before May. So.
Any other far as our plan, has everybody had enough budget for tonight, or? I think conceptually, again, leave everyone with this, we gotta, look at both sides, revenue and expense, and the revenue side is gonna evolve, because that will impact the tax rate regardless of the budget. Where the budget, the expenditure side is. And right now, the state, we're flat, we just have to keep an eye on that, and be part of that. The numbers I have, we can get some preliminary shortly. I think we're gonna be a little bit down on the tax side from the reval, but, so that's gonna have some impact also. So we talked about, doing a budget workshop and trying to reduce a day or two, so probably what would be good if everybody kind of looked at and looked at what you have and thought about what departments we might want to talk to. And then so we could look out a couple weeks, I don't know, something like 3/26 or something like that as a date to do a workshop to gather as much information, have departments come talk to us and that type of thing.
Except that'll be
That's
Easter
Easter
weekend.
Easter weekend.
All right. So
Maybe we should look
Bring
sooner
funny
and
hats.
get the,
sooner, or everybody would be recovered by St.
Easter egg
Patrick's
hunt
Day.
with lots of money in it.
The 19th.
I'm sure.
I'm on a perpetual recovery, so I need next year.
So maybe we can look at 3/19, so we definitely would, we definitely would need to know for next meeting.
Wait,
That's
what's
a
it?
week's
It's the 7th.
notice.
I can book
So it's the 7th.
What time would it be on the 19th?
We can talk about that, something, mid-morning. not too
My
early.
kids have me up at 6, so 6:15 is good for
Why
me.
don't we start
7 a.m.
with,
I'll
even
bring
we weren't
breakfast.
getting here at 7 o'clock.
I think 10
I'm more of a
a.m. is good.
brunch person myself.
That's what I say.
I have to
Early?
leave at 2, so,
Like 8 a.m.
8 a.m.?
I'll bring breakfast.
for all of us,
For
or just?
everybody, no, for the whole group.
Just the Republicans. I'm
The whole group, we're gonna have breakfast and coffee. Okay?
So you try hard share.
You let me know how that goes, that 8 a.m. thing.
I could do 6:30, I'm
Oh,
rolling.
great, what?
I'm up at 5:30 every day.
All right, well, we can
But
finalize the time
Yeah.
next week, but
We
then
don't
we'll
get
get,
up
Well,
for a
we could even start deciding ones that we know we want to see or will express interest in.
yeah, as soon as, because we're gonna have, if we wait till Monday, or we decide on Monday, and it only gives them a week
Yeah.
to be available, that's why I was going 1 week out, but I didn't realize that was Easter. So,
It's early this year.
So the 19th is it?
Yeah, let's do that.
sounds like that was the plan. Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe, if you think about who you wanna see or we know now, maybe you get it to me as soon as possible,
Email you.
and then we can at least start trying
Well, I mean, I think the ambulance is a
I
given,
think so.
to set that up.
so, I mean, could probably put that out to them.
You just want to see the road department, the public works. So,
Yeah, Phil normally comes in, doesn't
So
he likes to come. He
he?
did-
Sure, bring
His backup isn't very.
Well,
Yes,
well,
we're
Phil
working on
might,
that.
we might have to pay Phil overtime though, if it's a Saturday, we might not want to do that.
That's a good point. Very good point.
Why don't we keep Phil to a week? Just trying to save us money here.
Don't start laughing.
Yeah.
Um,
One more thing to look
One
at.
more thing too, yeah. You want to bring Phil in.
The fire department,
Well, again, everyone may not necessarily work on Saturday,
Yeah.
so we could potentially do public works on a different night,
Yeah.
but just to kind of get the bulk, or
Try
a
to
lot
get
of
some
it,
of them.
right, and just kind of knock a bunch of it out so we can move a little bit quicker as far as reviewing the details and maybe not meet every Monday. Public works, we certainly could
yeah.
pick a different night if that's more convenient, and avoid the other issues, but, well, obviously we'll take all the ones that can make it on Saturday first, and then,
Can you, if your option is to go with Craig, can we have the director come?
Sure.
I think, just so I think we have a lot of people who are upset in the town, and I think that we need to make sure that we get those questions answered for people.
Not a
And that
problem.
we as the board hear it too.
I'm meeting with him tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, so I will ask him.
See if 8 o'clock is good on Saturday.
I'm sure
We'll
if
see
he's,
how dedicated.
I'm sure if
He rides a bicycle.
I will ask him if he's available on the 19th.
Public health?
I don't think so, any changes out there?
No, I don't know.
Unless there's a,
No, I don't have.
unless we have a concern or they have a specific
I'd have
concern.
to
Look at my notes from those other years.
It seems like this year, again, there's some increase, so they're probably.
I think so.
And the fire department now has an actual statutory room, do they have a problem with that or something? The fire department? They might have a treasurer or something. No, that may have been previous years. Anybody that you didn't get backup from?
No,
No? Okay.
we didn't approve a budget unless we had backup.
I didn't see much from Phil.
Yeah, I didn't either. Unless this is it. Just
No, we did, we handed something.
Hmm,
I don't know if
Today.
that was it or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
didn't
mean,
look at it.
that's a work in progress. I think, you know, I would have him come in.
All right, so that's the plan for now. But formalize it on Monday. All right, any other discussion on budget tonight?
I will not be at the Board of Ed joint meeting though. I can't.
All right, so it's a reminder that is Thursday, it's correct. All right, public comment?
Just real quick, something you guys might want to mention on Thursday, that's something that I had brought up at a Board of Education meeting before last fall, about the board joining the state insurance plan. The increases are a lot more controlled because it's a larger pool. I think their largest increase over the last maybe decade, or since it started, whatever it's been, 5, 6 years, was 4%. Ours has, the past 2 years, been 20%, which is not sustainable in my opinion. He was not in favor, or Howard Theory was not in favor of going with the state plan. He wanted to look at maybe partnering up with 2 towns south of us. I still would like to see the numbers, so it might be something you guys might want to mention at the meeting. And then the last thing, real quick, this is the 3rd time I've heard that there was no road plan or priority list. If you guys remember, I had passed out a sheet with costs and also the road plan for the next 3 or 4 years. And one of the items was Park Road and Park Road Extension. At that time, the number was 700,000. I don't know what has changed since then, but that was the priority list. And Liz, it's also in your road file in the office. This is just something that the board and the Board of Selectmen had gone over. So maybe if you don't have a copy, what I'll do is I'll give this to Barbara, and I'll also send you an electronic copy, Barbara, so you can pass it around to everybody too. Barbara Galloway, 2 Barbaras now, yeah. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right. Any? Anyone? Motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All right.
You don't want to start off with.
All right, thank you.
Harlan's job.
Well, that's why I was just soliciting.
Yeah, I knew it was